Welcome to the ZimmCast, a program dedicated to bringing you what's new in agricultural marketing. The ZimmCast is the official podcast of AgWired and hosted by Chuck and Cindy Zimmerman.
Hello and welcome to the ZimmCast. I'm Chuck Zimmerman. In this program, we're going to get a preview of the 2025 IFAJ Congress, which will be held in Kenya. After our preview, I'm going to add a most recent example of how you can make your news releases talk. More of that on the end. So let's get started. I have Steve Werblow. He's IFAJ president. And I also have Aghan Daniel with MESHA, the organization that's coordinating the Congress. So let's get started with Steve. First of all, Steve, tell me a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So, Chuck, I'm a freelance agricultural writer and photographer based in Oregon, a longtime member of the Ag Communicators Network, and also have the honor of serving as president of the International Federation of Agricultural Journalists, or IFAJ.
I have had the opportunity, as you, to go to a number of these Congress events, and we've got another one coming up here. So that's what we really want to talk about here, is the one that's going to be taking place this year. And maybe we could just start out with when is it, where is it, and maybe a little bit about the theme for the Congress this year.
Sure. So this year's Congress is really exciting. It's our first Congress in Kenya in the 70-year history of the organization. So we're going to be meeting in Nairobi. We'll have meetings on the 14th of October, and then the Congress officially will be from the 15th through the 18th. And that's going to include talks, panel discussions, meetings, the gala dinner, and a lot of tours of farm and research facilities in the area around Nairobi. So it's going to be really exciting to have a chance to see not only agriculture in East Africa and not only the usual opportunity to share information and perspectives with journalists and communicators from 60 countries around the world, but also for the chance to be in kind of a hub of agricultural research that deals not only with East Africa, but really all over the world.
I think it's important to, emphasize that these are people coming that will be from all over the world. Yeah, I won't be there. I actually have a conflict for that this year, but
that's a bummer.
I know it's actually at the exact same time, and that was before I even knew what the dates were for this. Yeah, you do what you have to do. So, but the Congress kind of is in different sections, and like the first one, we have the boot camp, young leaders masterclass. What does that mean, first of all, and the folks who are coming for that part of it?
Yeah, the IFAJ All Tech Young Leaders Program is a very exciting opportunity for young journalists and communicators from around the world, from IFAJ member guilds, to get together and really have a life-changing, career-changing experience. They come together, they network with each other, we go out and they report together, sharing a lot of information, a lot of opportunities to learn networking skills, journalism and storytelling skills, and just the leadership skills that they can bring back to their guilds and help those guilds grow, mature, get things done. What you find is we are celebrating this year the 20th anniversary of this partnership between IFAJ and Alltech in creating this program. And when you look around at our executive meetings or our delegate assembly, and you realize, well over 100 people have been touched by this program over the past 20 years. And many of those people are sitting in that room representing their guilds on a global level now. So, we can see it in ACN members, Agricultural Communications Network here in the US. We see it in the Canadian Farm Writers Federation members north of the border. The people who've gone through this program and brought their skills and energy back home have really done profound things for their organizations, and many of them have gone on to lead their guilds and to become leaders in IFAJ.
Absolutely. Kudos to Alltech for supporting this. Let's talk about the business side of things here. We have a lot of work that has to be done there, I guess, in a day. What kind of work do you actually do when you're at a Congress?
Well, there's the business of IFAJ, right? Keeping a global organization running, and we work, on a pretty shoestring budget. We operate lean, and we try to get a lot done for our members. So we'll have committee meetings. We'll have the meeting of the executive, which is sort of the governing organization where each of our 60-member guilds are represented on the executive. Then we'll go into our delegate assembly where we'll have, about 120, 140 people in the room representing the entire membership of the organization. And that's where we get the business of the organization done. So that's keeping the doors open, but also looking for opportunities to put members in touch with stories, to create chances for people to go cover trade shows and events and news around the world. And so we'll do that. That'll be the first real day of Congress. Then we roll into the Congress activities, and those are much more involved in trying to put people in touch with those stories that are happening, especially in our host countries. So every year Congress is held in a different country, and that guild hosts Congress. So in this case, it's MESHA, which is the Media for Environment, Science, Health, and Agriculture. And they've been organizing this. They've been pulling the sponsorships together, working with the Kenyan government, working with the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations that will be hosting a lot of the tours. So they're pulling that all together. We'll get a chance to take a look at what's happening in their agricultural systems, and also give ourselves a chance to network with each other, to learn from each other, to provide that inspiration that we provide to each other when you get in a room. And Chuck, you've been there many, many times. You know how Congress, sends you home with a bunch of great ideas and a lot of energy to go out and serve our audiences as best we can.
Another aspect that's really fascinating are the field tours that we do. And this is where we get to go out on the farms. And as I've learned, and we all have, that when you are talking to farmers, I don't care if it's New Zealand or if it's here in the United States, it seems like they all kind of have some of the same concerns. And it's fascinating to see things are very similar to what we do here in the United States.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to see that in Kenya in a big way, because Kenyan farmers have many of the same issues and concerns that we do here in North America, right? There's an element of the agricultural system that is dedicated to feeding the country. How do we feed our neighbors? How do we put food on the table? How do we make sure that it's nutritious and it's safe? So they're working on those levels, but Kenya has a really exciting export market. So like when my family and we lived in Britain for a year, and you'd go to the grocery store and a lot of the vegetables came from Kenya. You'd see flowers. They have a massive flower industry that's, in fact, in the US, we get quite a bit of floral business that comes in from Kenya as well as from South America. And so they have export issues, they have trade issues of currency, issues of harmonizing regulations. So they're dealing with a lot of the same kinds of things that we are. On top of that, you have other issues like the conditions are changing. Growing seasons are moving around the calendar a bit. Varieties they're constantly in search of varieties for all their crops that are going to fit the markets, that are going to fit the season, that are going to fit the demands that their customers have, whether they're domestic or foreign. And then on top of all of that, you get the the wildlife there. And so you have this fascinating, and I mean, Chuck, you're of the same vintage I am. You know, you probably grew up like I did, watching Wild Kingdom and all of that Marlon Perkins action in the savannah, and that's happening right on top of their beef industry, on top of their cattle industry, dairy cattle industry, on top of uh, the land use that they're trying to engage in. So in addition to Phytophthora and stripe rust and fall armyworm, they've got elephants and they got zebras and they've got grazing animals to deal with. And it's a really fascinating juxtaposition. That's the kind of thing that I just grew up never thinking I'd get to see in real life, and it's all going to be right there for us in Kenya.
We have great receptions where everybody can get together and network, but we have this a pretty unique one for our final one. And tell us a little bit about that one, because we have this thing calling handing over the flag. Tell me a little bit about what that is and what it means this year.
You bet. Well, Chuck, the first thing that you mentioned is one of the big highlights of IFAJ is that opportunity to meet people from around the world. So, for instance, I write for the Furrow. If I've got a story that deals with some question about our relationship with something going on in Europe, I can go call somebody that I know through IFAJ to connect me with whatever's happening in that competitor or that customer's country. Similarly, something's going on in South America. Somebody has a question from Asia. I just, in fact, was writing to a colleague today because someone in our Japanese guild had asked for access to some information. And I said, look, I think I know who to put you in touch with. So that networking, all that back and forth, helps us all bring home more stories and better stories and better perspectives to our audiences. Then the culmination, the final dinner, is where we hand off the flag, or the host country, in this case, MESHA in Kenya, will hand off the IFAJ flag to our colleagues in Croatia, which is where next year's Congress will be. So we will be moving from thinking in terms of what's happening in East Africa to what's happening in Southern Europe. And next year, 2026, we'll do this all over again, but it'll be in Croatian. We'll learn all about farming on the Adriatic.
I've had the opportunity to help some of our folks from other countries come here to the United States, and they had some extra couple days, let's say. And Chuck, can you get us put together with a rancher or this or that? And you do make some great friends out there over time, and I do cherish that. And so we're all kind of in the same family, I guess you might say. So before we close here, anything else you might want to add we haven't touched on?
Well, I think this is a wonderful opportunity for ACN or LPC members, because both of those organizations, if you're a member of the Ag Communicators Network, or if you're a member of the Livestock Publications Council or the Canadian Farm Writers Federation, you are a member of IFAJ, and that entitles you to register for Congress. So my encouragement would be, this is going to be an unforgettable Congress. And there's so much that's relevant, not just to agriculture in Africa, but to what we're seeing in North America, to what we're doing here, to the global perspective, to that family of IFAJ people that you mentioned. The other thing is, this Congress in particular will be a wonderful way to connect with some of these NGOs doing global research. So CGIAR, the consultative group of researchers around the world, has a massive presence in Nairobi. ICIPE is another organization it's actually based in Nairobi, was started there, and their perspective on insect management and beneficial insects is second to none. And these are all stories we can bring back to our audiences here in North America. So I would thoroughly encourage anybody who has half a chance to come to the Congress this year to look into it. And again, if Congress doesn't fit, there's plenty of other opportunities to engage with IFAJ through our member guilds right here in North America.
Thank you very much, Steve, for taking some time to give us a little bit of a preview of this year's IFAJ Congress. Coming up next is Daniel. So let's start out with what he does.
My name is Aghan Daniel. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya, and I do lead an association of science journalists called Media for Environment, Science, Health and Agriculture, MESHA, which is the official guild representing the International Federation of Agricultural Journalists in Kenya, that is East Africa.
Can you tell us some of the details about the Congress and the location it will be held?
Now, MESHA will be hosting the 2025 IFAJ Congress in the big city of Nairobi. The Congress will officially start on October 15th, 2025. However, the Young Leaders Boot Camp opens on October the 13th. The Congress will be held in Nairobi, as I have said, in a hotel called Ole Sereni, which is situated just a fence away from the iconic Nairobi National Park. The theme for this year's Congress is unlocking the potential of the cradle of mankind. We want to look at, Kenya as the cradle of mankind. How is it practicing its agriculture? And we've lined up about 10 field tours, which will be capturing crop science, livestock, vegetables, tea, coffee, flower farms, organic farming, biotechnology, use of artificial intelligence in Kenyan agriculture, among other topics. Now, it is also important to note that we will have the boot camp, which starts on October the 13th to 15th.
So who can register and attend the Congress?
Then, who then can register and attend the Congress? In Kenya, we will allow any journalist and communication officer who handles agricultural issues to register and attend the Congress. They only have to prove that they actually do so, regardless of whether they are IFAJ members or not.
How do you register for the Congress?
An interested delegate, anybody who is interested, should register online or through the early bird registration, and somebody can just visit meshascience.org, and there is a link there that will take you to the Congress registration and the Congress website. The early bird ends on October the 7th. Thereafter, on-site registration will be undertaken at the Congress venue from October the 12th to 15th, 2025, and the cost is $800 per delegate. That is for late registration. For early registration, it is $700, and that does not include accommodation or any other cost. Upon successful registration, one will be sent an invoice and instructions on how to pay the registration fees. The Congress flag handover will be done on October 18th at the Ole Sereni Hotel, and we hope that we will give it to Croatia, who will be the next Congress host in 2026. Thank you.
Daniel and his organization will certainly have a variety of interesting places to see, and of course, talk to ag journalists from around the world. And if you haven't attended an IFAJ Congress, again, I'll just say I can't recommend it enough. So before I close, I'm including an interview with Performance Nutrition. The company had us distribute a news release for them on our Ag Newswire service, and we worked with them on an interview to add a voice to their message. We're getting more requests for this. Here is the interview, and you can find the full release on agnewswire.com. I am visiting with Chris Underwood with Performance Nutrition. And Chris, first of all, just go ahead and tell me your name and what you do for the company.
I'm Dr. Chris Underwood. I'm the Innovation and Business Development Manager for Performance Nutrition. My task is to carry out expansion of our business over toward the Midwest and Western United States, and also to bring new and innovative technologies to Performance Nutrition just based on my previous experiences at other companies.
Can you tell us about performance nutrition for people who just may not be very familiar with you?
Performance Nutrition was established in 1999 as a producer of specialty solutions for agriculture, turf and ornamental, and seed treatment markets. Our brands are certainly well known in the turf and ornamental markets, and historically, that's where we're often focused. We sold products for ag applications all along, as well as in select regions of the United States, but only more recently started expanding our presence in product formulations to specifically support the row crop, specialty ag, and seed treatment needs across North America. We offer an extensive portfolio of technologies for leaf, soil, and seed. Our products range from multiple product lines of biostimulants, such as free L-form amino acids, humics and fulvic acids, and some kelp-based plant extracts to blends, to a number of plant nutrition platforms offering combinations of nutrients, dual chelated micronutrients, and foliar fertilizers to blends, to unique lines of plant growth regulators, soil microbes, soil inoculants, and polymer adjuvants. As you can see, we offer quite a bit of different technologies.
Do you have some news for us with performance nutrition about it, how it is growing?
Yes. So in 2024, Performance Nutrition was purchased by Valuedor Products and its private equity owners. With that came an infusion in investment and a renewed focus on growth and new product innovation. This company-wide recommitment to innovation and some exciting growth plans is primarily why I joined the company 7 months ago. So far in 2025, we've already introduced multiple new amino acid and adjuvant products formulated specifically for the ag markets, with more innovations coming soon. We've also just expanded our urea phosphate-based fertilizer platform for the ag markets, which I am very excited about. We're also expanding geographically and recently have added multiple new sales partners and distributors to service crop growers across North America. As you can see, we are in a boom cycle of expansion.
So what are some of the targets for your products?
We offer a wide array of products across all crops and soil types. Certainly, we have many of our products currently used on row crop types like your corn, beans, grains, wheat, etc. But we also have quite a few loyal growers in the specialty market for leafy greens, vegetables, tree fruits, nuts, and berries as well. Since we're a technology-driven company, we're focused on offering specialty products and unique formulations. We often have some products that are ideal for greenhouse growers and many other formulated for field applications and applications at larger volumes.
You mentioned earlier renewed focus on new product innovation for performance nutrition. Are there some specific new products you'd like to cover?
Yes, we're very excited because we are introducing 2 new additions to our urea phosphate-based line of products, which the platform is called Prudent. The 2 products are Prudent Ag and Prudent SI. Performance Nutrition originally developed our Prudent technology platform for the turf markets, but the data from our trials quickly showed urea phosphate's impressive ability to improve abiotic stress tolerance and increase yields in the ag markets. So we designed these 2 new Prudent formulations specifically for the row and specialty crop growers. We offer some unique phosphate fertilizer blends, such as Prudent RX, which adds unique nutrients like nickel, our pentamine amino acids, and our dual chelated crystal clear micronutrients to our core urea phosphate platform.
So when I think of the use of phosphates in agriculture, I tend to think of potassium phosphate. How does your urea phosphate product compare with the number of potassium phosphate products in the market today?
Well, you're right. Currently, most all the phosphate-based products applied in the United States is some form of potassium phosphate. The benefits and reasons to apply a phosphate source to crops are fairly well known to most growers. It's when you start comparing the chemistry of potassium phosphate versus our urea phosphate that you start realizing there's some big differences between the 2. The primary difference is the ionic charges. We know that the surface of a plant has a net positive ionic charge. The surface of the leaf, even though it has a waxy cuticle, it tends to carry an inherent positive charge. And as we know from basic chemistry and basic physics, like charges repel. So the positive charge that you would get from a potassium ion that's found with potassium phosphate can limit the absorption of phosphate into a plant just because of the shear charge balance ratio. Since urea phosphate has a net 0 charge overall when applied to a leaf surface, you have just the positive charge from the leaf and the negative charge from the phosphate, Prudent results in superior increased phosphate uptake and efficacy over potassium phosphate products.
What about the economics for growers? How does prudent compare to other phosphate sources regarding cost?
That all depends on the type of crop and the type of soils in which prudent is being applied. They require varying application rates, of course, but gallon to gallon, prudent generally has a similar application cost per acre compared to most potassium phosphate products on the market. It's when you start factoring in the differences when it comes to plant vigor and stress tolerance and the overall impact to resulting yields, that's where the economics starts looking different very quickly for most growers at third harvest time.
You mentioned increased stress tolerance. That's always a hot topic for field growers these days. Can you expand upon that a little bit?
All of our prudent products deliver a readily available source of phosphate with high uptake rates that stimulate key pathways that support a plant's natural defense mechanism. With increased overall healthier plants, prudent helps crops retain more water and withstand abiotic stresses, including drought tolerance.
Anything else producers should know about your urea phosphate products? For example, are there any tank mix issues for farmers switching from potassium phosphate to urea phosphate?
In terms of the tank mixability, no. Our prudent products are seamlessly integrated into most fertility and crop protection programs. In fact, with a relatively low pH compared to many potassium phosphate products available on the market, Prudent Ag is probably conducive to more tank mix combinations. They can be applied via foliar sprays, fertigation, or soil applications. Prudent also keeps unchelated metals stable in these tank mix solutions, which reduces spray tank residues and minimizes scale buildup.
Well, before we close, is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you'd like folks to know?
Sure. Just from pure agronomic sense, is just the use of phosphates in agriculture. They are fairly widespread, though you don't see a lot of row crop users currently using them. But I'd like to give an aspect as to why row crop users should use more phosphates. Phosphate is more readily available to a plant than phosphate. The problem with it is that the plant cannot oxidize the phosphate to use it. So recent studies, or even past studies that go back as far as 50 years, have shown that the use of phosphates as a sole phosphorus source of fertilizer it shows very negative effects. It shows that it can't oxidize it and you see stunted growth. However, you can use phosphates in combination with orthophosphate or polyphosphate starter fertilizers to increase the usability of phosphate for the plant, because you're tricking the plant into absorbing more phosphorus since it's sensing there's phosphate available.
How do producers get in touch to learn more?
The easiest way is to go to www.pnfertilizers.com or download our mobile app on your phone, where you can find product information sheets, labels, and SDSs for all of our products. You can also look up your nearest local distributor. For more information or technical inquiries, you can always reach out to us through the website contact form or email our agriculture sales director, John Flynn, at john@pnfertilizers.com.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Chris Underwood. It's easy to include an interview with your release on Ag Newswire by sending us an interview audio file or have us conduct the interview for a small fee. And if you have any questions, just contact me at chuck@zimcom.biz. So that's the ZimmCast for now. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for listening.
You've been listening to the ZimmCast, the official podcast of AgWired. Check us out at www.agwired.com to find out what's new in agricultural marketing.